Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour. South Korea on edge as investigators try to arrest impeached President Yoon Suk Yeol. 2 military officials, including army chief, indicted. FBI says New Orleans attacker acted alone, supported ISIS. US President Joe Biden says no safe harbor in US for ISIS. A US Special Forces soldier blew up a Tesla cyber attack in Las Vegas, shot himself in the head before the blast. Motivation still unknown. Israel's Prime Minister approves delegation to resume ceasefire negotiations in Doha. Israeli airstrikes kill Gaza police chief. IDF informs of targeting Syrian army positions in September. And in sports, Rishabh Pant, Ravindra Jadeja steady India after top order struggles continue against Australia in Sydney Test. Jasprit Bumrah is leading the side after Rohit Sharma chooses to sit out. So visitors are back on the Bourbon Street, the tourist artery of New Orleans, where the deadly New Year's attack took place. The suspect has been identified and is believed to have acted alone. More in this report.
The tourist artery of New Orleans, the Bourbon Street, glimmered back to life less than 36 hours after the deadly New Year's Eve assault. Tourists and youth came out in throngs after the street was declared open by the police.
In New Orleans, this is what we do. We celebrate life during, before, and after. Unfortunately, it's very unfortunate what happened, but this is what we do in the city of New Orleans.
Today feels like a completely normal day back on Bourbon Street. Obviously think about all the victims and the families, but I feel safe. I think it's probably the safest and cleanest Bourbon Street will ever be that I will see. And just still praying for the victims, and I feel safe, and the police presence is huge.
I mean, like I said, I've lived here 62 years, and we've always, we can't let nothing hold us down. Like, I've been here through Katrina and all, so we could get right back up and running.
A U.S. Army veteran with an ISIS flag on his truck swerved around makeshift barriers and plowed into New Orleans' crowded French Quarter on New Year's, killing at least 14 people. The suspect was shot dead at the scene after firing at police. He has been identified as Shamsuddin Jabbar. The suspect had pledged allegiance to ISIS on his social media account on the morning of the attack. FBI is now seeking more information from the public on him. It released a poster featuring surveillance stills as part of its investigation. The search for more accomplices ended effectively as the FBI said that the suspect had acted alone.
This was an act of terrorism. It was premeditated and an evil act. We do not assess at this point that anyone else involved in this attack except for Shamsuddin Jabbar.
US President Joe Biden warned that ISIS shall find no safe harbor there.
People in New Orleans are sending an unmistakable message. They will not let this attack or the attackers' deluded ideology overcome us. None of us should fear that he'll overcome us. We're going to continue to relentlessly pursue ISIS and other terrorist organizations where they are, and they'll find no safe harbor here. I'll continue to provide updates in New Orleans and Las Vegas as the facts develop.
US President-elect Donald Trump has blamed the situation at the southern border of the recent attacks in New Orleans and Las Vegas, railing against President Biden for his immigration policies as both cases are being investigated. As New Orleans limps back to normal and people have come out in numbers to the Bourbon Street, the memory of those who perished in the senseless act will remain etched in the memory of the people in New Orleans and elsewhere. Antara Sinha, DD India.
Shot himself in the head before the blast. US law enforcement officials say his motivation is still unknown. Matthew Livelsberger, a member of the elite Green Berets, took his own life in the rented vehicle filled with fuel containers and fireworks, which then erupted into flames. Livelsberger's body was burned beyond recognition. Las Vegas police said he had been identified as the driver of the vehicle and that the coroner had ruled he had died by suicide. Livelsberger, identified through his military ID, passport and credit cards, was found with a gun at his feet. All right, we are joined by my colleague Shubhendu Ghosh for more updates on this. We'll talk about New Orleans attack. Shubhendu, first, global condemnation, condolences for this attack. Attacker has been identified who pledged to support ISIS. Tell us, are there more suspects?
That's right, Abhishek. Condemnations have been pouring in after the shocking attacks around the New Year's in New Orleans as well as Las Vegas. Well, more and more as the investigation unfolds, it is being looked as what has been understood as a lone wolf attack, particularly the attack that took place in New Orleans when a truck was used to plow down innocent civilians in that part of the city. Samsituddin Jabbar is the suspect who carried out the attack. As you mentioned, there was an ISIS flag found on social media accounts. He had sworn allegiance to ISIS ideology. It does bring back really dark memories of the spurt in lone wolf attack in the US, in the West, in Europe, in many parts of the continent. At the time when ISIS was peaking in its power, new developments are taking place in the West Asia. As we understand, the Assad regime has fallen, Abhishek. This is also seen as experts as an opportunity for ISIS fighters to regroup. It is also to be seen the manner in which ISIS had been operating in the past. There was no direct linkages. The linkage would usually be the radicalized ideology that would operate a lone wolf. An individual would carry out an attack and swore allegiance to ISIS. That is the kind of format, that is the kind of mode that it appears to be, at least the New Orleans attack. More details are awaited as far as the Las Vegas attack is concerned. What is also disturbing is the link that both these attackers are in fact citizens of America and have a link to the US Army past and the present.
As far as the reactions are concerned, Shubhendu, President Joe Biden reassuring that US will relentlessly pursue ISIS and other terrorist organizations. You think it will be the biggest challenge for the Trump-led US government now, who will take charge this month on 20th?
That's right, Abhishek. Fighting terrorism is an ongoing challenge for the United States and democracies across the world. But in this case, at the moment, we also see a certain political coloring of what has happened. President Joe Biden and President-elect Donald Trump, in fact, taking opposing stance on what has happened. President Biden looking at it as an incident of terror, and that the authorities will pursue the culprits wherever they may be. On the other hand, President-elect Donald Trump, who in fact in just over a week is going to be the new president of the United States, has squarely blamed President Biden's, the Democrats' immigration policy, open borders, illegal immigrants, something that had also driven his election campaign. The interesting part is that with the identification of both the attackers have been verified, both of them happen to be US citizens and not immigrants or illegal immigrants. Also, both of them have served in the US Army. In fact, Matthew Livelsberger, who was responsible for blowing up the Tesla truck outside of Trump Tower in Las Vegas, in fact, is currently is assigned with the army. He was on leave when this incident took place. So in that sense, there is a certain version of events, version of narrative that President-elect Donald Trump intends to put forward. In fact, he would take it forward as well. One of his priorities is going to be the election promise of deporting some 11 million immigrants. So incidents like this that jeopardize public order, public safety, are going to enable President Trump to take forward his agenda of getting the country rid of illegal immigrants for now.
Shubhendu, also very quickly, does the initial finding show that there is no link between New Orleans truck attack and Vegas Tesla blast?
Abhishek, although these incidents, both these incidents took place in a short interval between the two, and they took place in different parts of the United States. Officially, the authorities say there is no direct link between the two attacks. They cannot ascertain if the attackers knew one another, but there are some interesting linkages that can be unearthed. The one that I mentioned earlier, that they both have links to the US Army. Shamsuddin, in fact, had served earlier in the US Army in IT and HR department, whereas Matthew Lewis Berger is currently was serving the US Army. He was on leave. Another interesting linkage is that the data shows, although more details are still awaited, both of them may have been stationed and trained at some point in their careers in North Carolina base, the mega US Army base in North Carolina. There, both of them have a record of serving. Also, both these suspects have also, the data shows, have served in Afghanistan, although it cannot be ascertained at the moment if they both knew one another, if they served in Afghanistan or were stationed in North Carolina at the same time. So officially, no linkages, but the details that are emerging are interesting.
All right, Shubhendu, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for getting us the updates on that story. Moving on, US President Joe Biden on Thursday awarded the second highest civilian medal to Liz Cheney and Benny Thompson, leaders of the congressional investigation into the Capitol riot. Biden awarded the Presidential Citizens Medal to 20 people in a ceremony in the East Room, including Americans who fought for marriage equality and a pioneer in treating wounded soldiers. There's more in this report.
US President Joe Biden on Thursday awarded Liz Cheney, a former Republican congresswoman and fierce critic of Donald Trump, with the Citizen Service Medal after the incoming president warned she could be in a lot of trouble once he takes the office. The ex-lawmaker from Wyoming, along with 19 other prominent figures, was awarded the Presidential Citizens Medal for putting the American people over party. Presidential Citizens Medal is the second highest civilian award granted by the US government. Lawmaker Benny Thompson, who chaired the House committee that investigated Trump's role in the 6th of January Capitol riot, was also one of the recipients. Cheney, the daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney, served as the vice chair of the committee and was given a standing ovation as she came to receive the honor.
For the final time as president, I have the privilege of bestowing the Presidential Citizens Medal, one of our nation's highest honors, on an extraordinary, and I mean an extraordinary, group of Americans. The Citizens Medal recognizes, quote, citizens of the United States of America who performed exemplary deeds of service to their country and to their fellow citizens.
Cheney has become a prominent anti-Trump voice within the Republican Party in recent years. She also campaigned alongside Vice President Kamala Harris, while Trump is set to return to the White House on the 20th of January and has vowed to get revenge on political adversaries. Bureau Report, DD India.
Time now for a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. We'll get you the latest update on California plane crash. United States considers new rules to address risk posed by drones. And stunning visuals from World Sailing Race as icebergs surface during the event for the first time since 2008.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. South Korea's police officers have arrived at President Yoon Suk Yeol's home in a bid to arrest him over his short-lived declaration of martial law in early December. About 20 investigators from the Corruption Investigation Office and police officers were seen entering the gate of Yoon's residence in Seoul to execute the warrant for his detention. Hundreds of Yoon's supporters gathered on the main road close to the police and tried to deny access to his home. Yoon's lawyer said they will challenge the unlawful arrest warrant. Two South Korean military officials, including Army Chief Park An-soo, who was named martial law commander last month, have been indicted after being detained by prosecutors who are investigating insurrection charges. The embattled president is wanted for questioning in multiple investigations, including accusations of leading an insurrection after he suddenly declared martial law in early December last year. A court on Tuesday approved the warrant for Yoon, the first time such a move has been taken towards a sitting president. Yoon was suspended from duties on 14 December after lawmakers voted to impeach him, but he can only be removed from office if this is upheld by the country's constitutional court. All right, my colleague Anil Thomas has more details on this. He is joining us live from the newsroom. Anil, high drama in Seoul as police officers have arrived at President Yoon Suk Yeol's home. What is the latest that you're picking up?
Well, good morning, Abhishek. Well, not much of headway. It's almost been 5 hours since the police have arrived there. And the investigation chief there clearly indicating that all the people who are objecting this particular arrest, are going to be facing the heat. But having said that, remember in 2000 and 2004, similar arrest warrants against lawmakers were then issued and they failed against the protest because there is a 7-day timeline that it follows, and if the 7-day timeline lapses, then that particular arrest warrant is invalid. And in this particular case too, the building pressure that the investigation team is facing clearly indicates that not much of headway can be made, though the arrest is inevitable. But I think this particular warrant will slowly not be able to will play its timeline, and you would not see, in all likelihood, you would not see an arrest of Yoon, and he would then play it out in the courts, because that's how it generally plays out, because he's also got the present-day government there has managed to put 8 judges there in the constitutional bench. 1 more judges, if the opposition parties agree, they'll get on board, so they'll have a full-strength constitutional bench, and that makes things difficult for Yoon, because of the 9 judges there, Yoon has some role to play in just 1 appointment. And that leaves it even more confusing there for Yoon and his supporters. So having said that, the road ahead is tough for Yoon, but then he'll manage, shortcuts or means to survive this particular ordeal.
Also, Anil, Yoon vows to fight until end in letter to the supporters. What kind of support does Yoon have now? What all were his statements to the supporters?
Well, his support has been building, for long. And if you see the police officers and the investigating team running into chief special or, rather obstruction there at the gate, the support has been immense. And Yoon has not left his residence since December 12th. The last time he stepped out of the presidential suite was to make a televised address. But then he's been using social media immensely to, to connect with his supporters. And I think that's a huge relief that he's got, especially with the rising support that he's getting outside the presidential gates. And I think the waving of American flags and also North Korea now reporting about it clearly indicates that the magnitude of this particular political crisis in South Korea is having a spillover effect in North Korea, where it's been reported by the national dailies, because North Korea has still now not reported anything on this particular incident that's taking place or the political crisis that South Korea is facing and the world is noticing. So if North Korea is trying to show that chaos in South Korea, whereas stability in their country, trying to reflect on that points and trying to score some brownie points. But having said that, this particular point at this juncture where this particular case is now moving, Yoon has more support on the ground, and the presidential security staff coming in aid of him, especially obstructing the lawmakers from arresting him, clearly indicates that his support, not only with his support base or his party workers there outside, but also inside the presidential suite, where he's getting his own security, the presidential security supporting him, clearly indicates that he's got at least some of his support intact. and that's going to be his likely bailout that he's looking forward to till this matter approaches the court.
All right, Anil, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for getting us the latest on this story. South Korea has extended safety inspections of all 101 Boeing 737-800 jets operated by its airlines following the nation's deadliest aviation disaster. This precautionary initiative follows the Sunday crash where a Jeju Air 737-800 en route from Bangkok tragically overshot the runway in Muan, killing 179 passengers. The inspections will now continue until January 10. The tragedy unfolded as the aircraft belly landed, overshot the runway and exploded upon hitting an embankment. Investigators are probing maintenance records, landing gear and potential violations that could suspend airline operations. Authorities are also analyzing the flight data recorder, with US experts examining wreckage and reviewing 107 recovered mobile phones for clues. With key officials barred from leaving the country, questions remain over the landing gear failure and the pilot's rushed second landing attempt. And a small plane crashed into a commercial building in Southern California on Thursday, killing one and injuring several others, according to the local authorities. Aerial footage of the crash's aftermath showed a plume of smoke rising from an open hole in the building's roof, though firefighters were able to extinguish the blaze at the root of the smoke. As per reports, the crash occurred after the plane's pilot requested an emergency landing at Fullerton Municipal Airport shortly after takeoff, according to the Orange County Register, which noted clearance was given to use either side of the runway. Over 100 people were evacuated from the building the plane collided with. And Brazil has started examining the black box recorders from a Brazilian-made jetliner that crashed in Kazakhstan, killing 38 of the 67 people aboard. The decoding of the plane's recorder data will be undertaken by FAB's Data Reading and Analysis Laboratory in collaboration with technicians from Kazakhstan, where the plane crash occurred, Azerbaijan, the origin of the flight and home to the airline, and Russia, the flight's final destination. Embraer 190 crashed near Aktau, Kazakhstan on December 25th, resulting in 38 deaths. This incident has created tension between Russia and Azerbaijan, with the latter alleging that the plane was accidentally shot down by Russian forces. The crash occurred amidst Ukrainian drone attacks in southern Russia. And moving on to the southeastern European country of Montenegro, where several hundred people, including political leaders, lit candles in the main square of capital Podgorica in tribute to the 12 victims of a shooting the previous day. A man shot dead 12 people in a rampage in a small town before turning his gun on himself early on Thursday. The attacker, named by police as 45-year-old Ako Martinovic, initially shot dead 4 people at a restaurant in Ketinje on Wednesday afternoon after an altercation. He then shot dead 8 other people, including 2 children, in 4 different locations in this small town. It was the second mass shooting in less than 3 years in the same town west of Podgorica. In August 2022, a gunman killed 10 people, including 2 children, before being shot dead. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has approved the return of Israeli negotiators to Doha for the continuation of Gaza ceasefire talks. The negotiations are currently on standstill, with mediators reporting substantial disagreements over key terms. The deal would have facilitated the release of up to 30 captives held by Hamas in exchange for Palestinian prisoners and increased humanitarian access to the Gaza Strip. Tel Aviv wants a deal that does not include stopping the conflict and withdrawing fully from Gaza. Meanwhile, Israeli airstrikes across the Gaza Strip on Thursday killed the chief of Gaza's police force and his deputy. Israel said the head of Hamas internal security forces in southern Gaza, the terrorist Hassam Shahwan, was eliminated in an intelligence-based strike in Al-Mawasi, just west of the city of Khan Yunis. IDF said Shahwan was responsible for developing intelligence assessments in coordination with elements of Hamas's military wing in attacks on the IDF in Gaza. It added that the Hamas internal security forces have conducted violent interrogations of the Gazan population, violating human rights and suppressing dissent within the organization. Israel's military has released the footage on Thursday. The footage shows strikes on medium-range rocket launchers at a Hezbollah military site in southern Lebanon. The IDF said in a statement that before the strike, it had sent a request to Lebanon's army to destroy the launchers and that the launchers were only attacked after the Lebanese side failed to act. The Lebanese army did not immediately respond to a request for comment. In some other related updates, Israel's special forces raided an underground missile production site in Syria in September. Informing about the same on Thursday, Israel said it was primed to produce hundreds of precision missiles for use against it by Iranian-backed Hezbollah. The military released footage showing Israeli troops boarding and dismounting from helicopters and moving through what appears to be a concrete-lined tunnel and industrial site where they examined documents. Other footage showed senior commanders at a control center apparently as the operation proceeds. As Assad's government crumbled towards the end of last year, Israel launched a series of strikes against Syrian military infrastructure and weapons manufacturing sites to prevent them falling into the hands of enemies. Syria's top diplomat arrived in Saudi Arabia in a landmark first visit abroad by members of the new Syrian administration less than a month after it took power. Syria's newly appointed Foreign Minister Assad Hassan al-Shibani met with Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan bin Abdullah Al Saud in Riyadh. Salman said in a post on X that he had discussed with Syria's new Foreign Minister how best to support Syria's political transition. Shibani headed the Syrian delegation that included Defense Minister Murhaf Abu Qasra. The meeting also included Syria's intelligence chief. The visit came less than a month after Bashar al-Assad was ousted by rebels. Syrian forces carried out security checks in Homs looking for pro-Assad fighters and weapons on Thursday. The Ministry of Interior, in cooperation with the Military Operations Department, begins a wide-scale combing operation in the neighborhoods of Homs city, Wadi al-Dahab and Akhrama. The search was carried out by fighters from the ruling Islamist Hayat Tahrir al-Sham group, which led the campaign that ousted Assad last month. A security official said the operation aims to look for war criminals and those involved in crimes who refuse to hand over their weapons and go to the settlement centers, but also hidden ammunition and weapons. A security official said that the operation aims to look for war criminals and fugitives from justice as well as hidden weapons. Since Islamist-led rebels overthrew Assad last month, the transitional government has ordered all members of Assad's former security forces to hand their weapons over and surrender to the Islamist fighters or face trial. Meanwhile, gas supplies across Europe remain stable with the exception of Moldova. The EU confirmed on Thursday despite the abrupt halt of Russian gas transits via Ukraine. This marks the end of a decade-long agreement between Kyiv and Moscow, terminated by Ukraine, which previously generated billions for both nations. While Russian gas now accounts for less than 10% of the EU's imports, down from over 40% before Russia-Ukraine conflict, some eastern member states remain reliant on it. Poland, holding the EU presidency, reported no significant price hikes and emphasized that storage reserves and third country imports are meeting the demand. Slovakia faces escalating tensions with Ukraine after Ukrainian authorities halted Russian gas transits to Slovakia, a move Prime Minister Robert Fico condemned as sabotage. Fico warned of retaliation, including cutting electricity exports to Ukraine and reducing support for Ukrainian refugees. He claims Slovakia faces nearly €500 million in losses from lost transit revenues and higher costs for non-Russian gas. Slovakia's state gas importer estimates an additional €90 million in transit fees this year. Fico's government plans to raise the issue in Brussels, accusing Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky of opening a second energy front amid rising regional tensions. The United States is considering new rules to address risk posed by drones with tech from foreign adversaries like China and Russia. While commercial drones are common in the world's biggest economy, the Commerce Department warned that involvement by U.S. rivals may offer our adversaries the ability to remotely access and manipulate these devices, exposing sensitive U.S. data. The decision on new rules will fall to the incoming administration of President-elect Donald Trump. Flagging the risk from China and Russia, the Commerce Department said these countries can leverage their political and legal frameworks to co-opt private entities for national interest. The latest effort could lead to restrictions or bans involving Chinese drones, a market that China dominates. The number of US-bound migrants passing through Latin America's Darien Gap fell by 41% in 2024. According to Panama's President Jose Raul Molino, over 300,000 migrants have crossed the perilous jungle last year. The remarks came less than 3 weeks before US President-elect Donald Trump takes office, having vowed mass deportations of migrants without papers. Following an agreement signed with Washington in July, Panama has closed several routes in the Darien region and deported more than 1,500 migrants on flights to Colombia, Ecuador and India with US financial support. The dangerous Darien Gap connects Colombia with the Central American nation of Panama, and increasing numbers of migrants were making the journey north to reach the United States. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. A drone footage showed a section of canal bank in Cheshire collapse following heavy flooding in northern England. The Bridgewater Canal's embankment collapsed after heavy rain battered the UK on New Year's Eve, leading Greater Manchester Police to declare a major incident on January 1st. Heavy rain caused flooding and travel disruptions, trapping people in a block of flats without running water. Icebergs were seen during the Wendy Globe single-handed round the world sailing race for first time since 2008. Icebergs had been confirmed by CLS, an organization working with Wendy Globe, which uses satellites and teams of experts to monitor ice from space. The isolated icebergs had been seen north of the Antarctic exclusion zone along the Wendy Globe route. Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Maldives Foreign Affairs Minister Abdullah Khalil in New Delhi for a two-day official visit. Up next, we'll get you live updates on changing weather conditions across India. And grand preparation for 76th Republic Day celebrations in full swing as defense personnel commence parade rehearsal in New Delhi.
The delicate balance between human and animal coexistence has become a growing problem. Finding sustainable ways to coexisting together and thriving in a rapidly changing environment.
Tell them not to panic. Instead, they should just stand completely still and let the lions walk past peacefully. This is how we show respect to the animal and in turn gain its trust.
After the plantation of lemon trees, the elephants stopped entering the fields. They pass by the field boundaries without entering.
Poaching gangs and trafficking gangs that go after these elephants and capture them, things like that. And that's something that we are all up against.
We should try to modify the human behavior through education and awareness.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. Maldives Foreign Affairs Minister Abdullah Khalil arrived in New Delhi on Thursday for a two-day official visit. He will be meeting India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar today. According to the Ministry of External Affairs, the Foreign Minister's first official visit to India highlights the comprehensive economic and maritime security partnership between the two sides. The partnership was discussed during President Mohammad Muizzu's 5-day visit to India in October 2024. He is the first foreign minister to visit India in 2025. Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister for Political Affairs Majid Takht Ravanchi is also in New Delhi. He is expected to hold talks with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri. The visiting leader will also participate in the 19th round of Iran-India political consultations. Iran and India have a long-standing historical relationship underscored by cultural and economic ties and formalized by the 2003 Strategic Partnership Agreement. This partnership has flourished, particularly in the fields of energy and trade, with bilateral trade reaching an impressive $17.5 billion in 2022-23. And India's Defence Minister Rajat Singh met Defence Research and Development Organization's senior scientists and officials in New Delhi on Thursday to mark the 67th Foundation Day of the organization. In his address, the Defence Minister commended DRDO for developing the indigenous capabilities of the country by equipping the armed forces with state-of-the-art technologies or equipment and bolstering the defence sector through collaboration with the private sector. On 2025 being declared as the year of reforms, Rajat Singh asserted that DRDO will play a crucial role in achieving the set objectives. He thus exhorted Team DRDO to continue moving ahead in sync with the rapidly evolving technological ecosystem and keep coming out with niche products. Besides, Rajat Singh also shared certain forward-looking ideas with them which will help in strengthening R&D in the defence sector. India and Bangladesh have announced that they have agreed to release the fishermen in each other's custody after they crossed the border. According to the agreement, Bangladesh will hand over 95 Indian fishermen to Indian authorities on January 5, while India will release 90 Bangladeshi fishermen on the same day. In a statement, the Ministry of External Affairs said in recent months several Indian fishermen have been arrested by Bangladesh authorities who inadvertently crossed the international maritime boundary line and entered the country's waters. Several Bangladesh fishermen have also been apprehended by Indian authorities in similar circumstances. The MEA said the mutual exchange of fishermen and their vessels had been worked out keeping in mind the humanitarian and livelihood concerns of fishing communities on both sides. A severe cold wave envelopes North India. The Indian Met Department has issued cold wave dense fog alerts across the region. Delhi is experiencing its coldest temperatures in years as the city reported a significant drop in temperatures, prompting shelters for the homeless and gatherings around bonfires as residents brace for the chill. Meanwhile, dense fog and poor air quality also gripped New Delhi, reducing visibility in parts of the city dropped to 0 meters. The air quality index remained in the poor category at 278 as of Thursday. India's Himachal Pradesh is set to witness fresh snowfall and rainfall. According to the Met Department, the state is expected to experience heavy rainfall on January 5 and 6, while the plains and low hills will likely remain dry. All right, my colleague Muskan Chaudhary is joining us live from Shimla, Himachal Pradesh to get us the latest from there. Good morning, Muskan. Winter chill intensifies as cold wave warnings sound across North India. Tell us, how is Shimla gearing up for the predicted forecast of harsh winter conditions?
Abhishek, Himachal has been experiencing very good weather from the past 4 days, due to which there has been a significant rise in temperature. But due to the western disturbance, the weather will take a turn from today onwards. And according to the State Meteorological Department, a prediction of snowfall and rainfall has been issued from today onwards till 7 January. And in the higher regions, with the regions which are already under the cold spell, the temperature has fallen in minus, and places like Tabo, which falls under the Lahaul Spiti, the temperature is minus 14 right now, which has created a problem for the localites who are living there. They cannot continue with their daily life. And if I talk about the State Meteorological Department's prediction, a yellow alert has been issued for the plain areas. The fog yellow alert has been issued for the plain regions. But as you see, the last snowfall, the higher regions, especially in the Lahaul Spiti and the Kalpa and Kinnaur regions, more than 20 vehicles were collided. So administration is keeping that in mind, and they are taking more effective steps so that the tourists who are coming to the state right now, they don't have to go through the same conditions over again.
Muskan, we can see bright sunshine at the background, but temperature is predicted to drop significantly over the coming days, which is likely to impact, you think, the tourism too? Authorities are on high alert?
Yes, definitely, Abhishek. As I told you, that administration is keeping an eye, not only the incident which happened in Lahaul Spiti, but in Atal Tunnel, Rohtang, more than 2,000 vehicles were stuck, and the tourists and even the localites had to leave their vehicles in the tunnels because due to the black ice, it was getting difficult for the vehicles to move. So administration is taking more effective steps, and Home Guard has been deployed, and the police is on alert, and they are taking very effective measures so that not only tourists, the localites will also go through their daily life smoothly.
All right, Muskan, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs. All right, from Himachal Pradesh now, let's move to the national capital, Delhi, where my colleague Debyendu Model is joining us live from there. Debyendu, good morning. Good to see you. Cold wave sweeps North India, blinding fog in several cities. Traffic movement has also been disrupted due to poor visibility.
Well, very good morning, Abhishek. That's right. You know, Delhi is witnessing severe cold wave conditions here in the national capital region and along the northern Indian plain. We have witnessed, since early morning, in fact, since late night yesterday, dense fog had gripped not only the national capital region, but also parts of the northern Indian plain. In the morning hours of on the 3rd of January, which is today, dense fog had engulfed Delhi and the adjoining areas, causing lots of traffic delays, as well as several flights as well as trains have been delayed due to the fog. The IMD also suggests that similar fog conditions could prevail over the next 2 to 3 days, given that the western disturbance could be one of the factors leading to the fog-like conditions in the early morning hours. But however, the IMD do say that once the morning hours passes away, the fog conditions will clear, and as per information that we have from the airports, the flight operations have normalized as of now. But in the early morning hours, there were around 50 flights that have been delayed due to the intense fog wave condition, and Cat 3 operations were also kicked in at the Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport, and also delaying several train movements across the northern Indian plains due to the cold wave conditions. But it is likely to continue, as I said, Abhishek, over the next 2 to 3 days. And, Delhiites are preparing to gear up with this fog-like conditions. But the traffic police in Delhi also do give out an advisory to drive carefully in the early morning hours because of the fog, and also, the air quality index, which is plummeting to hazardous level over the during the winter season, also advises people to stay indoors in the morning hours.
Or are you saying? Yes, you're saying likely to continue for the next 2-3 days, but AQI still in poor category?
Yes, Abhishek, the AQI still is at the poor category. The rains did give some respite over the last weekend here in Delhi, where the AQI plummeted to a poor category. But of course, that's not a good news. But even then, from the hazardous to poor level, it was some sort of a respite for people of Delhi. But given the atmospheric condition at the moment, the AQI level is in very poor to severe category in many parts of the national capital.
All right, Debyendu, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs. Let's now take a look at other stories making news today. India's Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav will be on a day-long visit to northeastern state Assam on Friday. During his visit, the minister will flag off 3 trains from Guwahati railway station. He will flag off Guwahati New Lakhimpur Jan Shatabdi Express, New Bongaigaon Guwahati passenger train, and Tinsukia Nahar Lagun Express. In a virtual ceremony, the minister will also inaugurate a 10 kilowatt FM transmitter at Akashwani Kokrajhar. Officials noted that this addition will expand FM coverage within a 70-kilometer radius, offering high-quality broadcast to over 30 lakh residents. India's Bharatiya Janata Party has appointed election officers for the election of the state presidents and national council members of the party. The list includes the names of union ministers and senior party members. Union Minister Bhupendra Yadav has been appointed as election officer for Gujarat, while Shivraj Singh Chauhan has been given the responsibility of Karnataka. Besides, Piyush Goyal has been appointed as the election officer for Uttar Pradesh. Manohar Lal Khattar has been tasked with Bihar. 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 Bih Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan will oversee an election in Madhya Pradesh, and Kiran Rijiju has been given the responsibility of Sikkim. India's Ministry of Home Affairs amended the Model Prison Manual 2016 and the Model Prisons and Correctional Services Act 2023 to address the issue of caste-based discrimination of the inmates. According to the new manual, prison authorities must now strictly prohibit caste-based discrimination, classification and segregation. The grand preparations for the 76th Republic Day celebrations are in full swing as defence personnel have commenced their parade rehearsal in Delhi. The practice session at Kartavya Path saw a display of precision and discipline, setting the stage for the upcoming national event. Still to come on DD India News Hour. US President Joe Biden to announce decision on US steel acquisition as early as Friday. And Novak Djokovic powers into quarterfinal of the Brisbane International. And Iran walls narrate the stories of local lives. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. US President Joe Biden is expected to reveal decision on steel acquisition as early as Friday. The decision is regarding whether he will approve Japan's Nippon Steel's 5401T acquisition of American steelmaker. Sources say Nippon has proposed giving the US government veto power over any potential cuts to US Steel's extant production capacity as part of its efforts to secure approval. The Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States recently referred the decision to approve or block the deal to Biden, who will leave office on January 20th. Biden must decide on the deal by January 7th, and if he takes no action, it would result in the merger's automatic approval. In its proposal, Nippon Steel has pledged a 10-year commitment not to cut production capacity at US Steel's domestic mills unless approved by a Treasury-led review panel. And Apple has agreed to pay $95 million to settle a lawsuit accusing its virtual assistant Siri to eavesdrop on people using its iPhone and other trendy devices. The proposed settlement, filed on Tuesday in an Oakland, California federal court, would resolve a 5-year-old lawsuit revolving around allegations that Siri listened on private conversations of people with iPhones, iPads, HomePods or other Apple devices enhanced with the digital assistant. The alleged recordings occurred even when people didn't seek to activate the virtual assistant with the trigger words, "Hey Siri." The California-based tech giant has made user privacy a big part of its brand image and one of the reasons it tightly controls its ecosystem of hardware and software. All right, sports updates now. We'll start with cricket. Australia are on top of India in 5th and final test match of the Border Gavaskar Trophy in Sydney. Australia struck with 2 wickets post-day in form of Rishabh Pant and Nitish Reddy. Pant, who looked good and patient throughout the innings, threw away his wicket after scoring 40 of 98 deliveries. Earlier in the morning session, India's struggle against pace and seam continued as they lost their top order cheaply. India opted to bat on a green pitch and lost both their openers KL Rahul and Yashasvi Jaiswal inside first 10 overs. And just when Shubman Gill started to found His rhythm gifted his wicket to Nathan Lyon on score of 20. Virat Kohli then followed suit, throwing his wicket again to an off-stump ball. Scott Boland with 4 wickets emerged as the pick of the bowlers so far on day 1, while Mitchell Starc and Nathan Lyon bagged 1 wicket each. Jasprit Bumrah is leading the Indian team after regular skipper Rohit Sharma opted to sit out, citing poor form. And India's Youth Affairs and Sports Ministry on Thursday announced the National Sports Awards 2024. Olympic medalist Manu Bhaker, hockey player Harmanpreet Singh, chess world champion D. Gukesh and para-athlete Praveen Kumar have been named recipients of the prestigious Major Dhyan Chand Khel Ratna.
Medalist Manu Bhaker, hockey player Harmanpreet Singh, chess world champion D. Gukesh and para-athlete Praveen Kumar will be honoured with the Major Dhyan Chand Khel Ratna Award. Gukesh became the youngest world chess champion in Singapore in December. Bhaker had won 2 bronze medals at the Paris Olympics. Harmanpreet had led India to a bronze medal in men's hockey at the same games. Praveen had won gold in men's high jump T64 discipline at the Paris Paralympics.
I would like to thank the Government of India, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji and Honorable Sports Minister for their recognition. This award will motivate me to work even harder and achieve more laurels for the country in 2025. And this means a lot to me and my family and my team.
The Sports Ministry also named 32 athletes for the Arjuna Award, including 17 para-athletes. The list includes athletes Jyoti Yaraji, Anu Rani, boxer Neetu Gangas, Sweetie Bura, chess player Vantika Agarwal, hockey player Salima Tete, Abhishek, Sanjay, Jarmanpreet Singh, Sukhjit Singh, para-archer Rakesh Kumar, para-athlete Preeti Pal, Dipti Jivanji, Ajit Singh, Sachin Sarjirao Khilari, Dharambir, Pranab Surma, H. Hokato Sima, Simran, Navdeep, para-badminton player Nitesh Kumar, Thulasimiti Murugesan, Nitya Sri Sumati Sivan, Manisha Ramadas, para-judo player Kapil Parmar, para-shooter Mona Agarwal, Rubina Francis, shooter Swapnil Suresh Kusle, Sarabjot Singh, squash player Abhay Singh, swimmer Sajan Prakash and wrestler Aman. These athletes not only set benchmarks for excellence but also inspired a new generation to pursue sports with passion and resilience. Their accolades reflect India's robust talent pool and the country's commitment to nurturing sporting excellence through sustained investment and support. Sports Desk, DD India.
Now in tennis, Novak Djokovic and Aryna Sabalenka powered into the Brisbane International quarterfinals on Thursday. Djokovic cruised past fellow veteran Gael Monfils 6-3, 6-3 in 72 minutes. The 37-year-old Serbian registered his 20th straight win over the Frenchman in an entertaining clash. In the women's draw, world number 1 Sabalenka beat Kazakhstan Yulia Putintseva. Sabalenka fought back from 5-3 down in the first set to eventually win the match 7-6, 6-4 in 1 hour and 49 minutes. And in the winding alleys of Shiraz in southern Iran, artist Adil Yazdi has taken it upon himself to turn his rustic old neighborhood into a cultural and touristic hub through vibrant paintings and carved relief faces. Once neglected, the walls now narrate the stories of local lives, blending art with heritage to attract visitors and revive community spirit. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.